Today we're going to be doing our first mock draft of the offseason, our post-Senior Bowl mock draft, and let's just hop right into it. So I will do odds, and McKay will do even, so I have the first pick, and that means I got a freebie. This is going to be so easy. We're going Fernando Mendoza, and I don't think it's even in conversation here. He is easily the runaway favorite for this Raiders pick. It's what is it, minus like 5K right now or something. Like, this is going to happen. A lot of people really like this guy. His story is obviously phenomenal. He's got the 91.6 PFF grade, and I just don't even think there's another conversation here for the Raiders. They want their franchise guy, and they think they found him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the prototypical build for a quarterback, 6'5". I believe he's like 220 or something. Very big guy, and he's got a good arm. They've obviously already fallen in love with him, and it seems like that's what they're going. And there's not really another quarterback to even consider here, since the next guy up is like Ty Simpson. So
right, if there were another quarterback, maybe you could have an option. But guys are always going to reach here in the first overall pick, especially, but in the first round in general on quarterbacks. They want their quarterback, they want their guy, because if it works out, it turns into, oh well, that was a reach. Like, maybe he shouldn't have gone there. To what a pick by them to make sure they got their franchise quarterback and have it for the future. This is the most important position in sports, and it's nowhere near close. So if you can get your guy, you can get your guy. We talked about in the past a little bit. Or at least I have, how I think that there could be some struggle translating for Mendoza when he does go to the Raiders, only because of that offensive line. I mean, you're going from the best offensive line in college football to the worst line in NFL football, and it's already a hard enough adjustment as it is to go from a college defensive line to an NFL defensive line. So I think that's going to be a tough transition. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I just do think it is a little bit difficult and something that maybe should be considered a little bit more. So I do think the Raiders need to heavily look in free agency, addressing the O-line, and then also look in this draft, possibly maybe finding a guy in that second round that they can have an O-line. Obviously, they also do need to find that wide receiver one, but you've got Brock Bowers, you've got Ashton Genty, you've got Clint Kubiak now. I think that's an amazing hire for them. You've got the pieces in place to go out here and develop a guy like Fernando Mendoza. So I think that if you're able to do it, then that's awesome and an amazing pick. It's just about if you think you found the guy, and they clearly do.
Yeah, I mean, we're about to do our quarterback rankings, I believe, a week from today. We're going to be posting them. Make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss that. So we'll have more in-depth analysis on Fernando Mendoza then.
Exactly. But basically as simple as that. This is the pick.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone that clicked on this video is expecting this not to be the pick. So let's get into a more interesting pick, a pick that I think is much more difficult and probably the hardest of this whole first round. You've got number 2 with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what to actually do here because the top 3 players, at least on PFF Sport, are all edges, and I believe that's like the Jets' strongest defensive position. It's the only position where they actually have 2 guys that I'm comfortable starting. Down the board, like, are you going to take a receiver at 2? Probably not. None of these guys are quite that caliber. So
I think such a tough pick.
Yeah, it's really the hardest pick. Normally at this point, we kind of have an idea of who's going to. Right now, it's like, the favorite is Arvell Reese. I haven't really went too deep into Arvell Reese's film or anything, but I think 2 is a little rich for Arvell Reese.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's listed at linebacker, but if you're taking him at 2, he's not playing linebacker.
Right, he's definitely an edge kind of guy. We talked about him a lot in our last episode, how he's just kind of a weird player to evaluate because he's going so high, but he kind of can play like a hybrid role, probably wants to get translated to a full-time edge, but you're not even 100% sure he can do that, really, so it's kind of just really weird.
And he's got a very small sample size at playing edge. Just this season, he played a hybrid role, and that's his first time ever really playing edge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they probably should just take, like, Caleb Downs or something, but obviously safety is not valued in the NFL. So I'm going to go with Arvell Reese just because I think that's where they will end up going because he's this exciting guy with a lot of potential. And if he fails to edge, at least you got a linebacker who's like pretty solid. He'd definitely be their best linebacker right now. He's definitely better than Sherwood.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily close. They benched Quincy this year, right?
And he's walking. So they're not re-signing him.
Well, yeah, obviously, because they benched him, and he's obviously very good. There was something that went down with that. A little confused by the PFF grade. I'm looking at it right now, and it says 76 this season for his PFF grade, but he's number 2 player on the board. don't really get that exactly.
I mean, they don't really trust their grades.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
I mean, it's also like he's playing at Ohio State. That's like the hardest competition he's going to be going up against. Whereas a guy who plays at the FCS level, like I think North Dakota State's quarterback has like a 92 or something. Like those aren't going to be equivalent because he's playing players that are absolutely terrible. I know there's been a lot of players that have gone to lesser schools that just have really good PFF grades. But still, I mean, it's a potential pick. He hasn't shown it quite yet, so it's a risky pick. But I think the Jets should probably take a risk.
Yeah, it's just so weird to me to take a guy like this. Like, I do agree that's kind of where it feels like right now. I think the closer we get to the draft, obviously, I could see this pick very much changing.
Yeah.
And Arvell Reese falling very easily. Not really sure what way this is going to go. But I just think it's just so interesting because, like, he just doesn't feel like a guy who would ever go two, right? Because you don't have that sample size. It's not like he showed like elite play or anything, like a guy that's worth going to in that small sample size, in my personal opinion. And so I just don't really get the pick, but it does feel like the way it's going right now. And obviously in mock drafts, you're not necessarily taking. I mean, this early, you are kind of taking the best player a lot of the time, like who you think is going to be the best, but also it is predictive. And with the Jets, it's just so impossible to tell. They really fall in an unfortunate spot on the board for them because they could get a guy that fits their team perfectly 10 picks later, possibly. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, maybe they should just take Caleb Downs, the best player in the draft, possibly without positional value. But I think that it's just a tough spot. You can't really take him two. Maybe if they're picking at like 9, that'd be perfect, right? You got those 2 first-round picks. So I think they're – excuse me. Sorry. But I think that if you I think that their next pick is arguably even more important just because it's a much better spot for them. So it's just so weird. But they do have plenty to work with this season, and I think that Jets fans should be excited for the draft.
I mean, that's all they can get excited for.
Well, it's been a long – I feel like when was the last time that 2 – but I mean, besides like the huge quarterback class, when was the last time 2 was so uncertain? Like so uncertain. Like, this is probably the most uncertain of any pick in this draft.
Yeah, we're also really early into the process.
That's
I
very
assume
true.
By the draft we will definitely know who they're taking.
Maybe we'll see, but I feel like it's such an argument right now of who's even worth it at 2, right? So it's just very interesting. If you made it to this point in the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hype the video. It would really help us out, and we'd really appreciate it. Moving on to number 3 with the Cardinals on the clock. I think this is a much easier pick for me. I'm only looking 2 ways here, really. I'm looking towards tackle first. They need a tackle on the other side of Paris Johnson. And it's not really like that's the easiest thing to address in the offseason, like free agency time. And you're picking at 3. Maybe you don't want to be picking this high, but like you've got your pick of the tackles. Very likely pick, I think, and it's probably the way I'm leaning here. But I could also see them taking an edge. You know, pair an edge with Sweat on the other side, who had an amazing season this season. But they don't really have that second edge. And you, again, have your pick of the litter here with your edges, with how this board's falling, besides Arvell Reese, if you even consider him one of those. But me personally, I think Ruben Bain's the best in the class, so you could take him. So I think it's a very interesting pick, and it really just comes down to which one they value more. But ultimately, I think they have one. They have one at both positions, right? They've got a good tackle. They've got a good edge. Which one do you need a second more? What's more important, getting a second edge or getting a second tackle? I think it's tackle. I think having the 2 tackles is so important, and I think that it's easier to find maybe a sleeper edge or a guy who can play that second edge role in free agency than it is a tackle. So for me, I am going to be going down the tackle path here, and I am going to. I mean, you've got a couple options here, right? It really depends who you think the best tackle is. I know some people think is it Fano or Fano? Because I thought it was Fano, but I've heard Fano recently, which I didn't. Which yesterday I was listening to a different podcast, and they were like, "Yeah, Spencer Fano," and I was like,
"I don't think that's how you pronounce it." I've heard like everyone I've heard has said Fano.
So it's really between Spencer Fano, assuming that's how you say his name, and Maui Noah. Because those are the 2 highest rated tackles in the class. I've seen both go here, but I'm going to go with Maui Noah. I have not done a deep dive into either tackle, but I trust my man McKay here, who is a big fan of Maui Noah, so I'll assume for now, at least this early into the process, that he is the better of the 2 tackles, and I'll say I'm going to take him here for the Cardinals. Like I said, I just think tackles are a more important need, and I really think this Cardinals team has so many good pieces. It really sucks because I think they did a horrible job with the coaching hires this season. Getting Matt Nagy just got brought in on the offense. Or sorry, Nathaniel Hackett. Hackett, that's even worse. So
is it?
Yes, it's not close.
I don't know. I mean, he took a backseat to Matt LaFleur in the offense, and the offense was pretty good.
Yeah, because he didn't do anything. And so
is he doing anything though?
I don't know. It depends if Mike LaFleur calls plays, but I don't think that's the greatest hire in the world. I don't know. I just think this is a weird situation, but they have so many good pieces on this team, and not like a ton of huge holes they need to fill at this 3 spot,
especially offense.
Especially on offense. And so going for that tackle, if this can be your franchise tackle, you now have 2 franchise tackles that are young and developing. I mean, this would be a perfect situation to bring a quarterback in. Maybe you take one later in this draft if they're available. Maybe you wait till next year. I'm not sure, but really good spot for the Cardinals if they're able to take a guy like Maui Noah, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, protecting your young quarterback is going to be the number one goal of most NFL franchises. And I assume next season they will be taking the guy they assume will be their young guy, their new quarterback.
Right. So it just depends how the rest of the board falls. I mean, when we do our 2-round mock drafts and whatnot, we can see if they're looking at quarterback in this draft, and if not, going next year, which is supposed to be a very, very good quarterback class. So we will see. But moving on to number 4, I think this is a really easy pick for the Titans here at 4.
I don't think so.
I've seen different things, but I think with how the board's falling right this second and how it falls in most mock drafts, I think it's just an easy pick.
I don't know. So I'm trying to predict what they're going to do, right? And obviously you want to get Cam Ward a receiver, but taking one at 4 seems a little rich to me still. I think maybe like 6 or 7, I kind of didn't want to say it, but then, Anyway, I think that's kind of where you start thinking about receiver. Right here, it's a bit early. I think that with the hire of Robert Saleh, he's going to want to get a pass rusher because right now they have Oladejo and Arden Key, I believe, are their 2 best pass rushers off the edge. So that is really bad, and he really likes these kind of lighter pass rushers. You look at the Jets, they took Will McDonald, and the year before they took Jermaine Johnson. Both these guys are not very good run defenders, but they are guys who are almost like this designated pass rusher, except for, I think Jermaine Johnson definitely plays more on the run, but he likes these speed move guys that are a little undersized, and a lot of coaches don't like them, but I think this is a perfect spot for David Bailey to go off the board. I think he's the perfect fit for what Saleh wants to do. He had like Bryce Huff getting like 10 sacks a year with a similar build, but I think Bailey's even bigger. So
I do think when I said this is an easy pick, I was thinking specifically edge. I just think this is an edge spot, right?
Yeah, especially with Saleh.
Right, with Saleh just being the new hire. I get that this offense, you want to develop Cam Ward, and that's a main priority, but I think they're going to attack that heavily in free agency where they can. And I think that they also will definitely take a receiver later in this draft if they can. And like you said, 4 just might be a little too rich to take a receiver here. It's definitely only between those 2 positions, in my opinion. But with Saleh, you want to shore up the edge group. It's a more important position than receiver, and it is just as weak. So I definitely think they go edge here. I would have gone Ruben Bain just because I think he's the best one, and there's no really telling right now which one they would take. But I do see a lot of people really like David Bailey. Haven't watched too much of his game. Only heard good things, really, though. People really, really like him. So, like you said, it kind of fits Robert Saleh's scheme and everything. So, definitely a likely pick there, and I don't think it's a bad pick. But that means Ruben Bain continues to fall because here we're not considering it at 5, right? The Giants have one of the better edge rooms in the NFL. Very, very good with Abdul Carter hopefully developing. Brian Burns looking amazing this season. And I guess you got Kayvon Thibodeau. Who is he walking this season possibly? I'm not sure, but I think that there is only one position that we're considering here, right? I don't know about you, but I am feeling corner. Corner is the position that I am considering here very heavily. Their corners were absolutely horrific this season. And this is another team with, they did unfortunately deal with a lot of injuries, so their team was worse than maybe they should have been, but I really do think this team has a lot of great talent on it. The offensive line improved throughout the season, wasn't as bad. You could definitely help out that interior quite a bit, but it really wasn't that bad this season. And, you've got hopefully your franchise guy at quarterback. You've got a good running back duo. You've got Malik Neighbors out there still. Theo Johnson had some good games this season. On defense, you've got Sexy Dexy in that edge room. Like, your front is pretty stacked. You got Bobby Okereke. But the secondary was really just underwhelming. You had 3 corners that were supposed to be better than they were, and they were all absolutely horrible. You've got Javon Holland, who's still a good safety. But just overall, this secondary is just not good, right? And so I think that you're going to attack the secondary here. I think Jamal McCoy is the best corner available. I really liked his tape in 2024. Obviously, he did not play this season, and I think that is definitely going to be concerning for NFL coaches. And taking a guy at 5 who didn't play, that's pretty crazy, right? I don't know how likely that is. By that, I mean it's probably not likely at all. And so I am going to go Mansour Delane because I believe that is more likely. Heard great things. He obviously had a very good year in 2023, took a little bit of a step back in 2024, but had an incredible year once again this season, and people really like that. And I think that I think that people are going to take him highly in the draft, whether you think he is better than Jamal McCoy or not. He had a very, very good season at LSU, like I said, and it just feels like the Giants are going to pick him here for whatever reason. He kind of feels like a Giants player to me. I don't know if that's just me, but they just really need corner. He's a great player, and while I don't think he's number one at his position, he is the safest at his position most likely. So it just feels like the right pick here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. From what I've seen, he does seem like the most safe. I think 5 is a bit rich for Delane, in my opinion, but it's obviously not a bad player. He might be a guy that you consider around like the 10th pick, so the 5th pick might be a bit rich, but still a good player.
And I'm not saying I would take him over McCoy in this spot, but I just think the Giants will.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely think 2's too rich for Arvell Reese, but here we are.
Their only other guys that I could see them taking is like Caleb Downs. Not necessarily a need, but if they really like him, I could see that, or one of the receivers, because Wandale's walking, and their number 2 is now Slayton.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna take a receiver at 5 when you have a guy like Neighbors. Like, I understand it's wide receiver 2, but taking 5
position.
Really? I think I've seen corner the most, but I just think corner's a much bigger need.
It definitely is. Yeah.
So, to me, it makes more sense to go Delane. But at number 6, I think there's another one where we only have 2 positions that you're even considering.
I mean, we could take Ruben Bain, stop the slide, but I think this is not like the best spot for Bain.
Obviously.
They have so many needs. Why would they attack their strongest position? In my opinion, I could take a receiver here or a tackle. That's what I'm thinking.
That's exactly
just because, I mean, your number 1 right now is Jerry Jeudy. Your number 2 is Isaiah Bond. That's really bad for your quarterback, whoever it might be. And then their offensive line, I believe every one of their starters is a free agent. And
it wasn't good last year.
No, it wasn't. But I think I'm going to take Fano here just because I think they need to prioritize offensive line. And at their next pick, there's not that many good tackle prospects. And they could still find a good receiver even if they pass on him again in the first round. There's a lot of really good receivers going on day 2 in the draft, and they should probably sign one, honestly, in free agency.
Oh, 100% they should sign one. And obviously Judy's going to be around next year, but you want that X guy. But tackle is a more important position, especially when you have these 2 guys you have competing right now, maybe even looking for a third. I don't know what their offseason plan is, and I think, whenever we get through free agency, that'll be very telling for who they're going to take. But you need this tackle to help develop your young quarterback. I understand you need receivers too, but again, that's a way easier position to address in free agency than tackle is. So definitely think they're going to go. I think both are very likely, but it's only between those 2 positions for me. I don't see them addressing defense when their defense was very good last season. They have a lot of pieces there, and you're picking 6th. There's just no point to address the defensive side of the ball. So I definitely think Fano's a good pick. And if Maui Noah doesn't go off at 3,
the slam dunk,
then you can get him here at 6, I would assume. I don't think any of the other teams are looking to take him.
I mean, the Titans, in theory, could.
I don't think they ever would.
Giants could as well.
I'd be very
don't know
surprised.
if they'd prioritize tackle like that, though.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, to be honest. But overall, I think Fano makes perfect sense. At 7, we have the Commanders. This is an interesting one because
a lot of options.
Because ultimately they're the oldest team in the NFL. They're not good at football and have a lot of people walking. I've seen a lot of people talk about Sonny Styles here, actually, just because, you got Bobby Wagner really old, which is obviously a big deal. And he might not even come back this year. I think he's a free agent. So he could walk. So you could have Sonny Styles. He's an amazing player, obviously. A guy that has been rising. But also, I think that another interesting one to look at is Caleb Downs. And I think that that's probably where I'm leaning right at this moment in time because Caleb Downs is, again, arguably the best player in the draft if you get rid of positional value. I mean, he's so ridiculously smart on the field. He's athletic. He's just everything you want in a safety, right? He's the perfect prospect. Safeties have slid before. We have a Kyle Hamilton situation, obviously not the same type of player, but in the situation where they might fall, even though they're so talented. And we saw that was a big mistake. Team should have taken Kyle Hamilton. He can really help your defense transform it. And Caleb Downs can play multiple spots. He can play in the slot when you need him to. He can play deep. He is just a versatile demon. He's just really good at football. And he's been that way for a long time. He just did everything at Ohio State. And I think that's what the Commanders need, is a guy who can play multiple positions, who can try to help this defense in multiple spots. So I think I'm going to go Caleb Downs here. I do think Sonny Styles is a very good fit for them. I really do. But Caleb Downs, I think, is an even better fit. You need a guy, like I said, who can play all over the place and just try to transform this defense really quickly. And I don't think that it's going to be the easiest fix in the world, but I just think it makes perfect sense to get a guy like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's the best player in the draft. And Dan Quinn, he's calls plays, right?
Defensive plays, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And if he's actually as smart and as good as everyone pretends he is, he should be able to move Caleb Downs all around the field. He can play deep, he can play in the box, he can play slot. He can do everything you need from a safety. So really, you're not just taking a safety, you're taking a versatile chess piece here. So
right.
I think it's obviously more valuable than just being a safety.
Well, it's more valuable than just a linebacker, in my opinion. So I think that because he's, like you said, he's a chess piece, it makes most sense to me when you just have so many holes, especially on this defense. I mean, this defense is so bad. It's so, especially on paper, it might be the worst on paper in the league. Maybe not performance-wise, but on paper, it's just so unbelievably terrible.
I don't think it'd be the worst. They have, Luvu's way better on, you'd expect him to be better on paper,
Okay, so you got Luvu and that's it?
Shoot, I had someone else. Mikey Sanders still's pretty good.
He was horrible. Absolutely horrible this season. And it's Mike. It's not Mikey.
He's called both.
I've never heard anyone call him Mikey. I heard Mike Sanders.
Yeah, okay, bro.
But I don't know.
Ball nowhere.
I just don't think this is. Obviously, you can consider Sonny Styles here, but I never really fully considered him because I think this is just the Caleb Downs pick. At number 8, who you got?
I feel like I have all the hard picks. This is a very hard team to mock for because Ruben Bain's best player available right now, but saying similar to the Jets, one of their strongest positions is also edge. A lot of people want to mock Jeremiah Love, which kind of makes sense. I know you don't really like it at all, but it adds another dimension to this offense. Kamara's old. He's terrible.
I get that it fits, but it's too rich for a team like the Saints. We saw it last year with the Raiders.
I think the Saints are farther along than the Raiders, but yeah.
Well, we thought the Raiders were further along, and they were terrible.
You could consider receiver here, possibly. All three are still on the board.
I think that is a very good consideration.
But I think I'm going to take Sonny Styles.
Wow.
Because Demario Davis is 37 years old or something. You need a new linebacker in there, a new leader to the defense. Sonny Styles is, the best linebacker prospect since who? Devin White went top 5, right? Maybe him?
No
he's a
way.
phenomenal prospect.
Yeah, he is a very good prospect.
If I'm doing a fantasy draft of linebackers I want to start on my team, Fred Warner, Sonny Styles.
Whoa.
Dude, there's just not another guy. Who's the
above
second best?
Edrin Cooper? You love Edrin Cooper.
Edrin Cooper's...
He didn't take as big of a step.
Edrin Cooper might be third. There's not the linebacker position right now is Fred Warner and then everyone else.
Jeez, man. That's a crazy way to think about it.
Yeah, I think Sonny Styles pick 8 is a slam dunk for the Saints, who really need
I don't think I ever
to
seen
change
the
Yeah, I know. That's one reason why I want to do it. He changed the identity of this defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad pick. It just kind of shocked me. Wasn't seeing you go that route. I see Love here a lot. Just don't think that makes sense when you've got holes that you can fill. For example, I know Jeremiah Love's incredible, and I'm not saying he's not. I'm a huge Jeremiah Love fan, huge Jeremiah Love fan. But I'm also a big fan of filling other needs before running back, because running back is one of the last ones you want to fill, but to push you over the top, in my opinion, right? So you can go get an elite receiver in this mock draft. You can get any of the receivers or Jeremiah Love, and any of those receivers are going to provide so much value to Shuck and helping him develop, and they're going to last longer. And you can still find running back. You get so many running backs. I
don't know if I'd want to spend a top 8 pick on my wide receiver too when you also have so many holes, right?
Right. Well, I get that, but I still think it's you get an elite duo of wide receivers, and that is so much harder to come by than an elite running back. And I get Love is also going to be in that top percentile where you're not going to come by him as much, but it's just so much. It's so much more important to have that high tier receiver than a high tier running back, and you can find the high tier running back so much easier as well. So I don't know. I don't love the Love pick, but it is what it is. I like the Sonny Styles pick. I think it's a good pick. And now we have 3 Ohio State players already off the board. Pretty crazy to think about, but
No, Chiefs are in a dream scenario. They get the pick of the litter.
Chiefs are in the dream scenario. This is not what I want to happen, but I think it's very likely that they get Jeremiah Love or Ruben Bain. I mean, it's going to happen, and guess what? It just happens to be their 2 biggest needs. Kind of looking at what I would do, I would go Ruben Bain very easily. I wouldn't consider it. This isn't even close in when it comes to positional value, and I think these guys are 2 of maybe the top 3 players in the draft. Like if you get rid of positional value, and then you add positional value, and Ruben Bain just blows them out the water because of that positional value, right? So I think that's where I would go, but Jeremiah Love does feel like a Chiefs pick. It feels like they want to get another weapon on that offense because for some reason you could have 50 great weapons and it's not enough for Mahomes, and then we say that he doesn't have any help. Do you remember like the beginning of the year when everyone was like, he's got the Infinity Stones now, he's going to be unstoppable?
No.
Because everybody was healthy. It was like I saw a picture, it was like Rashee Rice, Marquise Brown, like it showed everybody, and they're like, this is going to be the most ridiculous, Xavier Worthy, everybody. And because they scored like 27 on the Commanders, and everyone was like, this team's going to be unstoppable. And then the next week they got like destroyed, and
Mahomes needs more.
McKay needs more, or not McKay, Mahomes needs more help. So I don't know, it does feel like that, and I do get to their run game is absolutely horrific. Like it is terrible. But at the same time, I really do think Ruben Bain's a better pick. But I'm going to go Jeremiah Love here. It feels like the Chiefs pick. I know people really are scared of Jeremiah Love getting picked to the Chiefs. I'm way more scared of Ruben Bain getting picked to the Chiefs. So I'll take this, but it just feels like the right pick for the Chiefs.
Yeah, now at number 10, I have the Bengals, who just seem to walk into Ruben Bain here.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
After they took Shamar Stewart, I don't know if this is the edge they'd want. Pretty much completely opposite players. You got the guy who fits the mold, elite athleticism, elite size, elite arm length, something that Ruben Bain does not have. But I'm going to go with Ruben Bain anyway. Once you get to this point, pick 10, you're not really like, oh, the 5th overall or the 4th overall player in the draft doesn't fit my thresholds and I'm at 10. You kind of just... You just got to take him because he's the best player available. If Trey Hendrickson's gone, your best edge rusher is... like Joseph Osai, Miles Murphy,
but also
like take your pick. Like they're
Shamar
so
Stewart
bad.
Was also so bad for them that they might want to go the complete opposite route too.
Yeah,
like they might be like, I don't care about the guy that fits the mold.
Surprised it's not listed as a need for PFF.
Yeah, well,
there's no guards, no centers worth taking here, and Downs is off the board. So
I think an interesting pick to look at also would be Jermon McCoy here. I've seen that mocked quite a bit, but I think it makes perfect sense. They need help in the secondary everywhere, and just on the defense everywhere. But obviously, like you said, Ruben Bain fell here. There's not much you can do. You've got to take him if he falls to you here. And I don't think I don't know. It feels likely right now, but like also he's so good that I could see him flying up in the pre-draft process, and Ruben Bain could go 2. So you never know. We'll see what happens closer to the draft. But in this mock, he fell. You've got to take him. If he doesn't, I think McCoy's the next pick for me. Moving on to 11, though, you got the Dolphins. We should go over the Dolphins cornerback room real fast. It's Storm Duck. It is Kader Kohu. And who's their third one? Is it
Douglas is up.
Yeah.
Is it Jason Marshall Jr.?
It might be.
Shoot,
so I don't know if there's a cornerback 2 in that room.
Is there a cornerback 3 in that room?
So that's a problem.
Kohu plays slot, so you're looking for outside corner.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, there's no corner.
That's a problem, right? And so on here it says the needs are quarterback, wide receiver, guard, and corner. Quarterback, we're not taking a quarterback here. Wide receiver, you've got Jalen Waddle, who looked really solid this season.
Malik Washington, I like him as a 3, so
right, so
it's not a big need.
And you have all 3 receivers on the board, so yeah, you could argue you could take a receiver here, but look at the cornerback room, man, and you can get Jermon McCoy here, who I think is a demon, and obviously it's a risk because he hasn't played this season, and I understand that. But this dude, just go watch his tape, man. I don't think there's a guy this season that had better tape than he did in 2024. I mean, just elite tape, and he wasn't even fully developed yet. It wasn't even his last season of college or anything. It was his second season, so I just am excited to see what he can do. I don't know if he's going to be a part of the pre-draft process or not, if he's still injured.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'd assume he should be, right?
So hopefully he
tore
is.
It Did he tear at the beginning of this year or at the end of last year?
I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that, but I just think this is an easy pick. I think Jermod McCoy is the pick. Don't see how you can pass on him in this situation if he's here. And if he wasn't, then I would definitely look towards receiver possibly. But with all three of these guys on the board, because you have your pick of a litter, I would look that way. But now we're going into pick 12, and all three of them are here, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I don't think that the Cowboys should be drafting a receiver.
Right.
So. I think if this happened, I think someone would want to trade up for their receiver.
100%.
Jump the Rams, who might be in the market.
What's crazy is this is realistic. This could happen so easily.
We could also see
all three receivers are here.
We could see the Browns taking it at 5, but they could also not be off the board.
This
12,
could be a crazy draft. Like, there could be trades. There could be a lot of chaos happening in this draft.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I want to do here because Downs, Sonny Styles, anybody who else is normally mocked here? Jeremiah Love, Jermod McCoy, Mansour Delane.
And they're all gone.
Yeah, everyone's gone. This is not a good scenario for them if you're not trading
another
back.
reason the Cowboys would trade back is they don't want anyone here.
Yeah.
So it's a weird pick for them for sure. I don't even know who you're really looking at here.
I'm debating who. So they have Ezra Raku. Who's their other edge? Do you remember? Their edges were terrible this year.
Yeah,
so
I don't. Is it the? Or is that no? Is that the other way? Is it the Washington guy, or is the Cowboys guy on Washington, Fowler or whatever?
That was. Well, maybe he was there this year.
I'm not sure. Basically, their edges aren't good. Is what we're basically saying.
I remember Tyrus Wheat was playing for them at mid-season. He was like starting or something.
So edge could definitely be a consideration.
I think that's what I'm gonna end up going here.
It's just this is a tough pick with how the board's falling. That's what we're looking at. So like, what are you thinking? Like Cassius Howell?
I'm thinking Keldrick Falk, probably him.
That feels like a Cowboys pick.
Like, he's got all the traits in the world. I don't really love this pick. He's not very refined, especially in the pass rush game. His run defense is fine, and I think it will end up being his strong suit. But I don't think that's a guy that I want to take early. He reminds me of Mykel Williams, where everyone's like, he's a good run defender and a good athlete. Imagine if he could rush the passer. And then they take him at 11. I think that was a terrible pick. It's not looking too good, and then he got hurt. So, but obviously, can't knock a guy for getting hurt, but doesn't look like the best pick. But I think if it fell this way, this is where the Cowboys would go. I think Falk's going to go a lot higher than people think.
Yeah.
Just because of his traits. These guys always get overdrafted.
So you're going Keldrick Falk. All right. Well, that's not what I was expecting from the Cowboys pick, but the way the board fell, I mean, it makes sense. I don't know. This is such a weird pick for the Cowboys. If this happens to them, they're definitely trading, is what it looks like to me. Like you said,
I think this would be like an amazing trade out for them.
It would, and then they still have another pick later in the round too. So this could work out great for the Cowboys.
They don't have any round 2 picks, so might want to acquire one by trading back. So
yeah,
perfect spot.
Maybe it could work all out. Yeah, Quentin Williams. They had a pretty decent season trade wise before or after Micah Parsons because that was interesting. But I don't know. I think this is just a weird pick for them and. Keldrick Falk feels like feels like a Cowboy to me. I don't know about you, but he just feels like a Cowboy. So moving on to 13, this one that is heavily debated among people. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I saw Ty Simpson mocked here yesterday.
Nope, don't take him at 13.
He
will not go at 13. That's
because he's not good enough to.
I think 16 is the earliest possible he will go.
But also.
You're not taking a Super Bowl or a Super Bowl caliber team is not taking a quarterback at 13.
I also just don't think that anyone makes much sense. I know a lot of people are like Mekhi Lemon. I get that. But that's like a Madden draft. Like that feels like what I would do in Madden.
Yeah, but Devontae's 31. He's up after this season.
And you have the best receiver in the NFL.
Devontae walks, and you have Puka Nacua, Xavier Smith, Jordan Whittington and Quintana Mumfield,
who they like.
I know, but Mumfield. You're fine if those guys end up being your 3, 4, and 5. You're like, sweet, we like these guys. But if they're your 2,
yeah, but Adams is
number 2.
Adams is the 2, and then you got to push one of those guys to the bench. I don't think they're looking to take Mekhi Lemon here. I really don't.
I think it makes perfect sense if the board falls like this.
I think that it's obviously a good pick, but I just don't know if that's what they're looking for. I think they want corner. here very easily.
Yeah, but
we've
McCoy's
obviously
off
took
the board,
both.
and Minnesota lands
So
way
it makes
off.
you think, would you want to take a guy like Avian Terrell here? It's probably too soon. Apparently people do not like Avian Terrell, but he's a very young, developmental guy. Kind of want a guy you can play right away, I think, if you're the Rams, because you are that Super Bowl contender. So it makes it harder to want to go corner because of that. But again, I really don't think they're going to go Mekhi Lim. I really don't. I'm pretty confident in it that they're not going to. I'd be really shocked. Really frustrated because then that's just not fair. And Matthew Stafford might throw 60 touchdowns. But I don't know. This is a super tough pick. I think this might be the hardest one we've had so far for me because I don't want to take Mekhi Lim.
This is the hardest pick ever. You got really lucky. All my picks have been really hard.
Not as hard as this because
this is a slam dunk.
You would take Mekhi Lim because you're obsessed with him. But it does not fit.
It does make sense.
It does not fit. You're wrong. It does not fit. He's only 31. He's playing for like 4 or 5 more years, and he's probably going to play with the Rams for the rest of those years. I think they're not looking to take a receiver here, even if he does fall. But I don't really see another option, and everyone else seems to think so. So I guess I'll go Mekhi Lemon. But I hate this pick. I mean, obviously it's
a great pick.
Going to work because he's a good player, but I still don't like the pick for that in the sense of I don't think it's going to happen. And this is a mock draft. We're predicting what's going to happen. This is not what's going to happen.
Well, if the board falls out like this, they're either trading out or they're picking Mekhi Lemon because no one else here makes any sense.
I could see them taking just some other player they have really high ranked on their board. I'm telling you that I will be shocked. I won't issue an apology, but I will be shocked if they take Mekhi Lemon. Unless leading up to the draft process we get like word that they're like obsessed with him. I really don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
I mean, best player available by far right now. So,
well, in your opinion, I haven't watched the receivers yet, but McKay is very obsessed with Mekhi Lemon. He's a very big
easily wide receiver 1.
Wow, people are not gonna be happy about that. I don't think saying easily. People love Tyson and Tate, so
I don't know. I need to watch Tate more, but I already know he's not going to be 1. But I think I might really like him.
So anyway, moving on to 14, a much easier pick.
Is it though?
Yes.
I think. Ooh. Which do I want to go with? So they're worried about Madubuike not playing this year or ever again just because he's always hurt. So that's always something they're considering. So Peter Woods being still on the board. Caleb Banks has risen up with the Senior Bowl. But really, to me, Mekhi Lemon does not make as much sense to for them, in my opinion. So having these two on the board is very good for them. I think they're going to pick one of these two guys if they both end up going here.
They could also go guard.
Yeah,
that's something to consider.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think a guard provides you as much value as either of these receivers do.
Yeah, but you can get, by far the best guard on the board.
I'm going to take Carnell Tate.
You're going to take Carnell Tate.
They need an outside wide receiver 1. And I don't think that's what Zay Flowers is. Zay Flowers is tiny. He's not consistent. He fumbles in big games. I've never seen a receiver who's so blatantly not clutch.
Yeah, but I don't know.
And as a wide receiver, too, I love Zay Flowers. I just don't think he's a wide receiver 1.
Right, and I totally agree with that. So I don't think Carnell Tate's a bad pick by any means. I think it's either the receiver or they're going Vega here. So I don't think that it's really any other decision. I don't think they're really considering anybody else. I know you said the interior D-line because maybe they're a little afraid of Madubuike, but I don't think you take that at 14 when you're probably never going to be picking this high again with Lamar. And
you'd hope so.
Assuming he's healthy, you're probably not picking this high again with Lamar. And you have Madubuike when he plays, he's a superstar. So it's really between those two for me. I don't think Carnell Tate's a bad pick by any means. He's the X you want.
Yeah, and Jordan Tyson's got all these injury questions, so maybe not a risk you'd want to take. So I think he'll fall in the draft. I don't know how far, but great player, just always injured. So.
At 15 here to the Bucks, I'm going to take Jordan Tyson. No, I'm just kidding. But that's basically what happened last year. I'm pretty shocking. This is an interesting one. I think that the Bucks, people thought they were in a much better situation than they were because of the beginning of the year. Baker looked a lot worse. Maybe he was injured. There's a lot of questions involving the Bucks right now. It says their number 1 needs tight end for some reason. I don't know how much I agree with that, especially at the end of the year. Cade Otton was like their best player.
I think Cade Otton's up.
Oh, is he? So maybe he don't bring him back.
I mean, he's not like, if you really liked Sadiq, he wouldn't stop you from drafting Sadiq.
I think something you're looking at is Cassius Howell here getting an edge on the other side of Diaby, but it kind of just depends if you value that second edge spot enough. And I mean, maybe you if you think Cassius Howell can be your number one edge, because obviously I think Diaby's an amazing 2. I don't know if you really want him to be your 1. I know you're a big fan of Diaby, so maybe
he's like a
disagree.
top 25 edge rusher.
Right, so
But
that's
I don't
not
know
what
if
you
want
want
that
to be
to
your
be your
1,
one,
right?
but-
So, well, that's what I mean. So do you think Cassius Howell can be better than that? I think that Peter Woods is actually kind of interesting here. I think most people maybe wouldn't consider it too much.
Well, they have Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey.
Right, but Vita Vea is only getting older. You can play 3 guys on the inside. I think he'd be a very interesting pick, but I don't think that's what they would go, obviously. I am really leaning towards Cassius Howell. I do think an edge makes sense here. I'm looking at who else is on the board, and I just don't really see another guy that like feels like the Bucs would even want to look that route. So I think I'm just going to go Cassius Howell. I don't think it's like the greatest pick in the world or anything, but I think that it's the most likely with how this board is shaken up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have TJ Parker, honestly.
Interesting.
But, I mean, consensus-wise, Howell is definitely a higher-ranked prospect. So
You're a big TJ Parker guy?
I'm not like that big of a team. I just don't really think Cassius Howell's that great.
Was TJ Parker? I think TJ Parker had a big Senior Bowl,
Yeah.
right? So he is rising. And like
I think
again,
the Senior Bowl was incredibly important for him since he
Clemson
did not
players.
have a ton of production last season, but he's shown it in the past. So it just looks like just
and
all
everyone
Clemson.
took a step back
Yeah.
from Clemson, so maybe that's why. But right now, Cassius Howell is looking to go off the board before TJ Parker, and so I'm going to go with him for now, as I don't have the most information on either guy quite yet, and I just feel like we're trying to predict, so I feel like that makes more sense. Jets back on the clock, though.
Probably get all the hard picks.
This is an easy pick.
It's between 2 people. It's between Jordan Tyson and Peter Woods.
This is an easy pick.
I think I'm going to go with Peter Woods.
Wow, really?
I like where this receiver room is at a lot more than I like where the defensive line room is at. Who is their best DT? Dude, is it Juwan Briggs? Like, it's terrible for them.
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
I think that if I'm right and the Rams do not take Mekhi Lemon, the Jets will get him here at 16.
Yeah, it's definitely. With Aaron Glenn's familiarity
No.
with
I'm not
Amon-Ra.
saying that they'll want to take him. I'm saying that he will fall to 16. I think there's a very good chance the Jets get the number 2 pick and who you're saying is the number 1 receiver in the draft at 16, who fits perfectly because he gets to play next to Garrett Wilson and Adonai Mitchell. I mean, that would be a killer draft for the Jets. They have the potential to absolutely slam us out of the park. And I think that it makes it interesting. And I think that honestly, the more I think about it, Peter Woods does feel like the right pick. And you said you're going with him?
Yeah, I think if Mekhi Lemon was on the board, I'd go with him.
But Peter Woods feels like the right pick right here because Jordan Tyson doesn't feel like the best fit for the receiver room anyway.
No.
I think you want a guy who can play a lot inside
He's
because
kinda-
you got Adonai Mitchell on the
he's
outside.
too close to what Garrett Wilson is.
Right. So, I don't know. I think this is a good pick. Peter Woods is obviously a stud. Everyone, like we said, took a step back with Clemson, but the way I heard it best described is his best reps are just ridiculous, right? And so he can be that guy. And their interior is so bad without Quinnen Williams. So if you can get Peter Woods at 16, you're definitely not mad. And I think that this pick, like we were saying earlier, 2 is such a weird spot for them to draft. But 16, there's going to be someone here that's just an elite pick for them, in my opinion. But I do want to throw that out there. I think there's a really good shot. I think if there was a corner on the board, I would have taken a quarter to the Rams, and we would have had the Jets taking Mekhi Lemon because I think it's most likely the Jets get Mekhi Lemon out of any team in this draft.
Yeah.
So at least this early into the pre-draft process, we'll watch this back, and Mekhi Lemon went like 5 or something, and it'll be so funny.
He's not the kind of player that would go 5.
I agree. But 17 to the Lions. We still have a player on the board that I've seen heavily mocked here to the Lions, and that is Akeem Messidor. I think it does make some sense. That's why I'm throwing it out first. He gets to be the second edge rusher again, a part of a great duo. But it's weird to take a guy who's 25 years old, not only in the first round, but 17.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough sell. Obviously, the sell is that he's very good at what he does. He's already there. It's not going to take 3 or 4 years to get him to that level. So you're hoping he can make that impact right away, right? You're hoping that he can do that for you. But I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about that with him being so old. And at the same position, you got TJ Parker, who we already talked about, who is rising, looked amazing in the Super Bowl, the Senior Bowl, and he really has shown that ability in the past. But I think edge does make a lot of sense here. Obviously, you can go corner, but do you really want to take a guy like Avian Terrell, who's the best corner available? Again, another developmental guy.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard to justify the Lions taking a developmental guy here. So I'm not leaning that way. You could address the offensive line if you want. I think Vega's actually an interesting pick to look at here. And so I think it comes down to Parker and Vega. And it's which one do you value more? And I really do see them going... I don't know which one I see them going. This is a tough pick, I think. I'm going to go TJ Parker. I think
that's what I would want with.
I think that they're going to go edge. It makes sense for them to address guard, but at 17, it just feels a little high for a lot of teams to address that guard position. And it's really between those two positions, in my opinion. So it's almost a 50-50. But there's another team I want Vega to go to in this mock, like another team. It just fits so well. But I'm just going to take Parker here because it's such a 50-50. So that is the pick. Now, you got 18 on the clock. The Vikings.
Why do I have all the hard picks, bro? Who are they going to go
Jordan
with?
Tyson's still here. Obviously not going here.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
just wanted to
every
point that
round,
out.
every pick, I'm like, does it make sense? No.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, best player available by far. I'm not trying to hate on Jordan Tyson, but...
It just... He's fallen.
Yeah, I mean,
Somebody's got to fall. It's the NFL draft.
shoot.
People fall every year.
I mean...
The players available are so interesting. I mean, like, on PFF's board, the highest ranked available are Caleb Banks, who rose a ton from the Senior Bowl. You've got Avian Terrell. You've got Denzel Boston. I mean, you're not taking a receiver here, obviously, right? So, who are you taking?
I'm taking Ty Simpson.
No
Just kidding.
way.
Just kidding.
I was like, what?
I'm just kidding. No.
That'd be crazy.
I think I'm just going to... dude, I mean, I think it's a DB here for sure.
You think so? Interesting.
I mean,
are you thinking about Emmanuel McNeil-Warren?
yeah. I mean, it's either him or Cisse. But let me think. So they got Isaiah Rodgers. They got Byron Murphy. I don't know who's their slot. Or Murphy plays a slot a lot. Who's their other corner?
I think out of the ones you're considering, I think Emmanuel McNeil-Warren actually makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of upside. 6'2", 202. Super athletic. Shown a lot of refinement as well. And I've seen him going a lot earlier than, he's listed on a lot of sites. So I think I'm going to go with him here to replace Harrison Smith. It's definitely the biggest reach so far, but also I think he's a guy that could easily rise with the combine. You look at another guy from Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell, who comes to the combine, just explodes, goes up 2 rounds about, and then everyone's on the train.
Yeah, and he's been great.
Yeah.
And everyone's, I mean, a little overrated, to be honest. Shouldn't be an all-pro, but he's a very good corner.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think this is a decent pick for them there. And also,
a really hard pick right now.
I think it's just a really weird spot for them. It feels like there's a lot of, in the last, 6 or 7, sorry, that's not on purpose, but the last, 6 or 7 picks, it's been a lot of really weird fits. This one I think is super easy.
Really?
You're taking the best player available. You're going Jordan Tyson here. I understand how good Jalen Coker looked in that playoff game. I do understand that. But he's had a lot of playing time, and that was the first time he's really looked really good. And it was one game.
Plus, he can still be your number 3. You're not shoving him out of the
right,
lineup.
like you're not just getting rid of him. But also on top of that, I think that it is still considered a need, right? Like, it's maybe not a huge need or anything. It's not something you would look to address in the first round. But if Jordan Tyson's here, how can you pass on him when it's not a set position? I think people are not going to like this take. I do think Tet actually takes a step back. I think he was really showered with targets.
I think if you get another receiver in there, he for sure will.
Yeah, I think he was showered with targets, and that was a big benefit to his stats. And he's obviously a decent receiver, but I do think that Jordan Tyson could come in, and I think he could end up being a better receiver than Tet, assuming he could stay healthy and everything. And I think that obviously having them both would be nice. Having Coker, if he can able to continue that level of play, then this is a really good receiving room all of a sudden. You clearly believe in Bryce Young. I don't know if that's the smartest decision, but you do. So, this is a team with a good offensive line. You're hoping Rico Dowdle's a good enough running back to sustain, even though he had a rough end of the year. But in the first round at 19, when you've got a player who could easily go top 10 and he's still here, you take it. Like, it's just as simple as that. And I just think this is a time for Jordan Tyson to go, even if that's not the position they're looking to address the most.
Yeah,
So, 20, you've got what should have been your pick.
I mean, who would we have taken? I mean, I'm not really too happy with. Like, I'm glad that we traded this pick. Assuming the board falls like this, I don't feel too passionate about the Packers taking any of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel similarly about the Cowboys. I feel like I do have all the hard picks.
This is a tough one.
Like, I think I'm going to go with C.J. Allen here. Their linebackers
I think it's a great
so bad last year, aside from Overshown, who's coming off a huge injury. But this would be a crazy linebacker core. C.J. Allen commanded that entire Georgia defense. So, yeah, I mean, great player. A bit of a reach here, but
it's huge.
Yeah, he's definitely a round one prospect.
And since it's your second first-round pick, you can almost afford to reach a little bit more. And he's just such, like, a big need. Like, he is the biggest need, basically, on any team we've talked about. Their linebacker core is so bad. I mean, Kenneth Murray started most of the year.
Kenneth Murray got snaps. You should never do that again.
He started most of the year.
Yeah, I know.
So,
like, you should never get
every
snaps.
single time
So
I would
bad.
like see a play where like a linebacker was like chasing down a guy, like he was just way behind the play. I'd look at the back of his jersey and it'd be Kenneth Murray, and I was like, that is so funny. Like, he's just really not great. So yeah, I think this is a really good pick. 21. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but I actually wanted to do the odds because I already know who I'm taking with this
Really?
pick. This was one of the reasons I wanted to.
Interesting.
You know, you can look a couple different ways here. I think if one of the receivers, like if Tyson doesn't go, I think they take him, as you could really use a receiver with. I mean, I think this is the team that I've seen people talking about Concepcion going to. So, you know, you can look at those types of guys here. But, I mean, they could use some DB help. They're obviously pretty old on defense, so if you can get any of those types of guys to develop. I actually think Avian Terrell kind of makes sense for them just because he can develop behind a guy like Ramsey, who maybe could teach him a little bit. You try to get him next to Joey Porter Jr. for when Ramsey's gone. Maybe makes a little bit of sense. But I'm going Ty Simpson here. I'm taking Ty Simpson to the Steelers. I don't think this is a good pick. Let me clarify. I do not think that this is the right pick for the Steelers, but I think it's the pick they're going to make at this point in time. I think I heard a great analysis from Trevor Sikkema the other day about why he thinks Ty Simpson is a first rounder, because he actually took him to the Rams, which I think is not going to happen. But
at the end of the first round, I could see it.
But the
Not
reason he
13.
says that he is a first rounder is because he would have gone back to school, and he said the reason is
He got good.
he got great feedback from like NFL scouts and NFL insiders being like, you should come in this draft, like you're going to be drafted. Who's the team that I feel like fits Ty Simpson the most? It is definitely the Steelers. They just feel like the team that's going to take a guy like Ty Simpson. He just feels like a Steeler to me. And this feels like right around the spot where he could go. Like he could start going. They're in the perfect spot for that. It reminds me of the Kenny Pickett situation from a few years ago where you're not sure about these second and third round guys. It's the same exact spot. And they just take him because they want to grab him because they don't think he'll be there at their second round pick. So I think that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Ty Simpson here to the Steelers, and I don't think you expected it from me.
No, I did not.
But
I kind of assumed when you said it, you had it planned. Like, you
but
can't really plan that many picks.
but ultimately, like, I'm looking at the board here, and I think it makes even more sense. I don't think there's another player that they want more than the guy that they think can be their franchise quarterback, and I don't know. I'm excited to do our quarterback rankings and get a more in-depth analysis of him. We got some access to some film, so I'm going to be watching some deep dives of Ty Simpson. But don't think it's the right pick, but I think it's the pick they're going to go.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to take him at 21.
I wouldn't.
But, I mean, could be worse. I mean, it's better than the Kenny Pickett pick. That one never made any sense.
So bad.
And I don't think Ty Simpson will be there for their next pick, so they might actually feel the need to reach on Ty Simpson. Plus, Mike McCarthy, he hasn't really worked with too much. Like, he's more of worked with pocket passers like Aaron Rodgers. Ty Simpson's kind of built a little like Aaron Rodgers, just a little shorter. Definitely a pocket passer first, with a little bit of rushing ability. So I think that he'd want a guy like that rather than bringing back Justin Fields, getting Trinidad Chambliss.
This feels like a Mike McCarthy
Malik Willis. I think all those players have a 0% chance of going to the Steelers because of that.
Yeah. Well, you finally got an easy pick. 22 to the Chargers. This is the easiest pick we've had.
Is
so
it,
far.
though? There's a lot of ways I can go with
no,
this
there's
one.
not. There's one way. You just pick it.
One of their needs is defensive line, and Caleb Banks has risen up a lot,
Dude,
lately.
you think they
especially
need Caleb
after
Banks more?
A great Senior Bowl.
They just re-signed Tierre Tart.
Are you really going to be like, oh, Tierre Tart's going to stop me from taking Caleb Banks?
Stop with this glaze, bro.
I mean,
we know who you're taking.
I don't know. Maybe he needs another weapon.
I'm just going to go ahead and go to the pick that you're
built like Quentin Johnston. Maybe that's someone they want to take another shot at.
Why?
I don't know. Obviously going Vega here. If he falls, it's easy pick for the Chargers.
Might be the best value pick.
Yeah, their tackles were obviously terrible last year, but that's because they were hurt. Their interior is horrible when healthy.
So bad.
So
imagine they don't sign Linderbaum, right?
Obviously.
The Ravens.
What do you mean imagine?
The Ravens. Oh. They don't re-sign him. They sign Linderbaum in free agency, and then they draft Vega.
I mean,
this becomes the worst offensive line in NFL history, arguably, to maybe the best O-line of the league.
A little glaze, but, I mean...
Is it? You've got a top 3 center, 2 top, maybe 10 tackles? Maybe? Is that too much?
I don't know.
Around that range. Like, that 3 alone makes it a top 10 line very easily, right? And then you've got Vega, who could step in and be a great guard right away. And then you've just got an incredible offensive line with Mike McDaniel stepping in on the offense. I mean, this could completely transform the Chargers in one offseason.
I mean, if man, let's see if he can be.
It wouldn't be if man anymore. I mean, assuming they all stay healthy, it'd be MVP man is what it would be for Justin Herbert. So,
I mean, you don't even call him if man, you call him when man, because that's all you do is glaze Justin Herbert.
When man? What a name. Well, I think that is an obvious pick. You got an easy one. Congrats.
Finally. Jeez.
23 to the Eagles. We talked about most recently was Avian Terrell because I know I keep bringing him up, but I mean, he is a conversation for a lot of teams, I think. And Daniel Jeremiah had him going here. If you haven't watched that video, we did react to Jeremiah's draft, so you should go check that out. This is a weird pick. Super, super weird pick because they, I don't know. I don't feel like they have a ton of huge needs here. But I don't love the Avian Terrell one because I just think it's more likely they sign a guy who can be that second corner for them. I don't know if you agree with this, but I'm actually going to go a different route here and go Kenyon Sadiq to the Eagles.
Interesting. I think Goddard is...
Goddard's up. Yes, okay. Goddard is up. And the reason the reason I am going to be doing this is because I've heard some news that apparently Goddard is not looking to re-sign, or they're not looking to re-sign Goddard. So the what's the word? The guess is that he's not going to be on the team next year. They heavily used him this season in the red zone, especially. They like getting the tight end involved. I like Calcaterra as a second tight end, but you obviously don't want him to be your one. Sadiq's a freak athlete, and it's a guy that you could want to get in there and use heavily as that tight end. Obviously, he wasn't as good as people wanted him to be, but I think that he's still that freak athlete. People still really like him. I mean, he's still a first-round possibility as a tight end with only putting up 560 receiving yards and just having a year that people expected more out of him. And they still want to take him this high. He feels like a pick that they could make to try to add another element to that offense, especially when I just don't think there's a lot of players on the board that fit their needs and fit like what they're looking for. So I'm going to go Kenyon Sadiq. I don't know if it's the best pick in the world, but I do think that it is decently likely, so I'm going to take him.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if he got out of the first round. People are always trying to find the next super athletic tight end, try to project to the next level, so... I mean, a lot of people want him to the Broncos to be his joker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to watch some Kenyon Sadiq. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see.
Moving on to 24.
All right, so with our first one for the Browns, we took
a tackle. Fano.
Oh, yeah, okay. So here at 24, Denzel Boston is still on the board. So that would make some sense. Not considering him.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Why?
That doesn't make any sense for the Browns.
I mean, he plays receiver. Any receiver makes sense.
Wow, okay.
Any receiver makes sense for them.
Is there any good... I mean, a lot of people want to take Proctor here. I think him and Lomu aren't really polished enough for me to want to take them here. Freeling could make some sense. Oh, wait, we already took a tackle.
We already took a tackle.
No tackle here. Those would have been their options, obviously, if they went receiver earlier. I think I'm just going to take Denzel Boston, best receiver available according to consensus. He's got the size. I believe he's 6'4", pretty athletic too. So, and he's pretty
6'4",
productive this
209.
season, I believe. What do you have?
881 yards. So
Somewhat productive.
in 12 games, it's not bad at all.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't think this is a bad pick at all.
They definitely need some size.
They definitely need a receiver that can catch the football. So they already took a tackle, like you said. It really just depends. I think they go tackle here if they went receiver with their first pick, and I think they go receiver here if they went tackle with their first pick.
Yeah.
They have two glaring holes, and those are the two that they're looking to address. And I think that they're going to go another tackle or receiver at their next pick.
Mm-hmm.
Or another, tackle or receiver. So
They could actually take a tackle here.
yeah,
Still.
take a second one, honestly.
I mean, they don't have anyone, so.
It wouldn't be that bad of a pick. But next up at 25, we have the Chicago Bears. I think this is an interesting one. Someone I'd be considering if it weren't for you taking him already would be C.J. Allen, actually. Yeah. Their linebacking core is amazing. And I think, who's up? Edmonds?
Edmonds is probably going to get cut.
Oh, okay. So same difference, I guess. But so that would be interesting. You already took the safeties or the safety off the board. Obviously, don't need offensive line help. They could use help on the interior D line. And I think that Caleb Banks is interesting to look at here just because he has risen so much with that Senior Bowl. Honestly, don't know the most about Caleb Banks just because I haven't watched him. He just started rising. It'd be interesting to watch him. But I'm just looking at the board here and who's available. Don't think they're going Avian Terrell. They're not going to go like Caden Proctor, not Casey Concepcion. So I don't know. I feel like Caleb Banks might actually just be the pick here. I think I'm going to go with him. Not who I was expecting to go to with the Bears, but with how this board's fallen, it's just not really fortunate for them, I think. And if Caleb Banks really is rising this much because of a Senior Bowl and they like him a lot, I could see them taking him here as that's one of their bigger weaknesses for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they already have Gervon Dexter, the other former Florida Gator, so maybe they just want to
pair him up
with his former teammate unless he transferred, which, I mean, nowadays pretty likely.
Right. So,
but 2 Gators on that defensive line.
Well, we only have a few picks left.
Okay.
We got to the Bills.
Oof. I mean, everyone wants a receiver here to help their king Josh Allen. Linebacker makes sense. They have DB on here. I guess they need another safety.
I think they'd take Denzel Boston if he was here.
Yeah, for sure.
But he just went off the board, unfortunately for them.
They don't care about Keon Coleman, apparently.
They literally just admitted that while he's on the team.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
they just have Shakir right now, like as meaningful receivers. So I think, who do we have an outside receiver available? Wow, I'm really bad at clicking. It's so hard.
Not really anyone.
I mean, Chris Bell just towards ACL.
There's not really one I see going here.
Bell makes some sense. He's got the size, the speed. Jeremy Bernard profiles more as a number 3, so I think it's kind of weird. 41's crazy glaze, in my opinion, for a guy with a lower ceiling. Omar Cooper, I would like him to be able to play a good amount of slot as well, so I don't think he makes sense. Surratt, I think it's pretty rich for him. I've actually seen people take Chris Brazel.
Interesting.
Not a huge fan of that pick at all, but I don't think receiver, the board did not fall for them to take a receiver.
Maybe they're the ones that trade up with the Cowboys at 12 to get their receiver.
It's a lot of, they have traded up a lot.
Yeah, but it does feel like with who they hired, with the way they were talking about the draft and the receivers, like after this season, I could definitely see them beating the team to do that.
Who's their second outside corner?
I think it was Trey White this season.
Okay. So, wait, no. They just drafted Hairston.
He was their first this season.
No.
A lot of, that was whatever.
39. Yeah, Benford. So I don't think corner's that big of a deal for them. I assume they like Hairston.
Yeah, but I think he got hurt in the last game, and that's why White was playing so much.
Dude, they just don't. Right here is just not a great spot for them. Shoot. Do I take another linebacker?
This is tough, dude. They do not have a pick they want to make. I really do think they trade up. I think they go and take a receiver higher in the draft. So I think that's just a little tough for them.
I don't really know if I want to take 3 linebackers in this draft, but I think it makes the most sense. I'm going to take Jake Golday.
Okay.
He's got great size. He profiles really well. He's a bit of a project, but right now they don't really have a linebacker that I would feel too comfortable starting. Maybe he's not amazing right away, but I think he's a guy that will be a late riser in the process, especially if he runs well at the combine with his size. I think he makes a lot of sense. He's the typical build that goes in the first round. So
Yeah. No, I don't hate that pick by any means. It's just such a tough spot, I think. That was probably the hardest pick we've had at this point. There's just no one there. 27 to the Niners. They have some interesting needs. Receiver, something you could talk about if there's a good one here, just because, I mean, contrary to Troy Aikman's belief, Ricky Pearsall's not that guy.
Can you believe he did all this without Ricky Pearsall, guys?
We talked about that a lot this season. And then, Ayuk's obviously gone. Jennings is always hurt and not a number one by any means.
He's also up.
He's also up. And then, so you definitely consider receiver with how the board's fallen once again. Doesn't really feel like the spot for them. I think that I'm gonna reference Trevor Sikkema again because I think this is a super interesting thing to talk about. The thing I heard from him, so give him all the credit here. But I watched Caden Proctor this season. And McKay also watched Caden Proctor this season. Not a huge fan, if you do say so. Very big human being. 6'7", was he 360 or something? Like
a lot.
Like ridiculous. 366, 6'7". So ridiculously big guy. But he just wasn't fast enough. The way that Sikkema described it is heavy feet, and that's exactly what I think is. He just wasn't able to get off his block fast enough. He wasn't able to get edges were able to just kind of blow around the edge and just get there too quickly. But with his size and his strength and his ability, he does have good ability if he's in position. He just doesn't get to position enough. Really could be successful at the guard position, and I think that he could be drafted to play guard immediately. And the Niners are someone who could use guard.
I don't know how I feel about a 6'7" guard,
but I do think it's if he's going this high, there's no way people are looking at him that go this high without thinking about him playing guard. And I think the Niners could use a lot of guard help. Their run blocking was horrific this year if you actually watched it. Their interior just wasn't good. And I just don't see a player that I really like for them here. So call me crazy. Caden Proctor at guard going to the Niners here.
Interesting.
What do you think of this pick?
I'll call you crazy. 6'7" guard is quite interesting.
But I heard that from Sikkema, and I really liked the idea because when watching him, he does kind of feel like a guard with that size. And
just because he's not very good?
Not just because he's not very good, because he is good at blocking. He's just not good at moving. So he's not good at and he's big and strong. He can move a pile forward. He's just not able to get he doesn't have that side to side speed, which is obviously the biggest difference in between a guard and a tackle, right? So you can move him inside, and he could be a very good guard, I think.
Interesting.
So with how the board's fallen, I think it's an interesting pick, and I wanted to throw it out there.
All right. Well, the Texans here are probably going to be taking another lineman. You got Caleb Lomus here, Monroe Freeling.
They're going to take. It doesn't matter who's here. They're taking a lineman.
There's also I don't know how to pronounce his name. Max Ihanor Ankor. That is not right.
That
by the
wasn't
way.
right at all.
I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to take him. But he rose a lot at the Senior Bowl. I think he's worth a shout out, especially with this being a post Senior Bowl mock draft. He's a guy who I could see going here. But I'm going to go Monroe Freeling, just a later riser, but I think he's more technically sound than Caleb Lomu. So I think it makes more sense for a Texans team that needs someone to step out there right now to protect C.J. Stroud. So
yep, I mean, you have to take one. You have to take a tackle, no matter who's here. So they're gonna take a chance on Monroe Freeling. I think that makes perfect sense. And this is another really easy one for me. Guess we've been talking about for about 20 picks now. That's a little too much, but 15 picks now.
Top 10 pick.
We've been talking about him for almost 15 picks. Avian Terrell is still here. The Rams, after taking Mekhi Lemon, are still getting a guy at a position that is just such a huge need. And obviously, like we said, you kind of want a guy who can step in a bit quicker than Avian Terrell, but he's so young. He's 20 years old. He's got the pieces. He's a developmental guy, but the Rams DC didn't get a job, right? So he's going to be here to develop him, and he's obviously done a phenomenal job at developing players. So this is a great fit for Terrell. He could be a great corner in just a couple of seasons, and you get him at the back end of the first round after already making a great pick in the first part of the round. And I really think that if he fell here, then the Rams are it's just not fair. I don't want the Rams to do this well. Like, I like the Rams a lot, but this is just too much, man. So great pick for them, in my opinion. And Avian Terrell finally goes off the board.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised so many people don't talk about a corner as a need. In my opinion, it was easily their worst position this season.
So easily. Well, PFF has it as a need here. For some quarterbacks, their number one need. But
I mean, quarterback's the most important position.
Stafford confirmed he's playing next year. So,
I mean, I just don't. If you're taking a developmental guy, it's like Drew Aller in the 5th round.
Right.
In my opinion, for the Rams, I don't think it makes sense for them to be taking Chambliss in the 3rd.
I think they could take
Ty
Chambliss.
Simpson like first round. Like, I don't think that makes sense.
Well, now you don't screw me over. You gotta take the right player here. I don't really know who the right player is.
So you need center, but you just extended your center. I know he got hurt. Forgot his name.
I don't know how much we need center. Luke Wattenberg?
Yeah, but you just extended him, so he's not a need. I don't know why he's on here as a need.
Right.
I wouldn't say O-line unless you're trying to take your tackle
I
of
wish
the
you
future.
didn't take 3 linebackers already.
Yeah, you're not taking a linebacker. Sorry,
Not
bro.
now.
No, I think the 2nd round linebackers, like, you're going to be able to find great
I
value.
think the needs they have on here are absolutely wrong.
This linebacker class is really good, like, down the board, too. So
Yes, I know.
You'll be able to find
I
a
was just
guy.
saying, like, the needs that PFF has, I think, are not great.
I think running back, you won't be addressing that in the draft,
Obviously
at
not.
least on the first 2 days of the draft, because
we
just
invested
a
in
second-round
Harvey.
pick.
We're gonna re-sign Dobbins, is my guess.
And if you don't re-sign Dobbins, you might sign, like, maybe Travis Etienne. You're going to sign someone in free agency. You're not just going to draft a guy. You're not giving up on
I
RJ
will
Harvey
throw.
like that.
We'll throw a little something out there. Maybe we look towards Caden McDonald.
You think so?
I
don't know enough about him. I don't think I'm surprised he's this high. I haven't heard enough people talk.
You could also
2
consider.
sacks,
You could also consider
zero
Casey
QB hits.
Concepcion.
0 QB hits. That's interesting.
That's really.
He's got to be a run defender then.
Well, yeah, but he would obviously play inside. Maybe take over JFM's role.
Yeah, but JFM's a pass
good
rush
pass
guy,
rusher, yeah.
So I think
I think we know the most likely though.
the most likely.
You know,
I don't know. I think that this board fell really badly for
Oh,
everyone.
Yeah, it's horrible, but like Casey Concepcion makes the most sense.
I'm taking Omar Cooper.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's wide receiver 4 in this draft. He's above Denzel Boston. I think he might be closer to the big 3 than Denzel Boston.
Wow.
He's a great player, and he can play inside, outside. You need a separator on your team. That's the number one thing I think you guys need. You already have that possession guy, the go up and get it, flashy
I'm so
catch
excited
guy.
to watch him because you love him so much. And McKay showed me a release of his yesterday, and it sold me, man. It sold me. I would take that in a heartbeat for my team.
He's so athletic. If
the board felt like this, I would not hate this pick at all.
Yeah, and if like Sean Payton's that great, he should be able to get this guy open like crazy. I mean, this is the kind of build of receivers that are running the league right now. These guys who can separate, these guys who can make plays after the catch as well. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily always X receivers, even though like if you get an X receiver,
want one.
Yeah, obviously, but this is not a kind of player who should fall because of his play style, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think that's.
And I think by draft time, I think he is easily an early 2nd round pick minimum.
Really?
I'd be very surprised if he's outside the 2nd round. That'd be insane.
We'll see. We'll see indeed. So 31
Patriots.
To the Patriots. I think this is a really tough pick, to be honest with you. We've had a lot of tough picks in a row just because of how the board fell. You can obviously look towards tackle here, and I think that's probably the way I'm going to look. Will Campbell's obviously not been good this year at all. And then it's not Moses Moody. Why was I about to say that? Morgan Moses. I just think of a double M's. He obviously is very old, getting up there in age, going to retire soon. So I think that you go Caleb Lomu here most likely. A good tackle prospect. And maybe you move Will Campbell in to guard immediately. Maybe you give him one more shot and have Lomu learn under
Morgan
Moses. I almost said Moses Moody again. So maybe that's the play. I'm not quite sure, but I think that this is probably the best pick they have available.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, what does this team need?
This is the hardest one.
They're such a complete team right now. They even have their developmental quarterback. you know?
Yeah.
So there's like nowhere to go.
They don't.
Running back is a need, apparently. I think Kenneth Walker is definitely getting re-signed. Obviously, Charbonnet tore his ACL. But I think you address that in free agency if you let Charbonnet go.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously not in the first round. Interior would make sense. Is there a guy here I'd be willing to take? Pregnon here would make sense.
What do you even want to take?
I think linebacker's not a need. I don't know why it's on here as a need. And then corner. If they got rid of him, I could see Cisse.
I think you might have to take Pregnon.
It's either Cisse or Pregnon, in my opinion. Keith Abney, I like him, but he's a bit too small.
Yeah, Cisse would make some sense too. Maybe you go Cisse, actually.
Because Kobe Bryant is their other outside corner. And
Yeah,
he'd be
he
their
might
only one?
Well, Woolen.
No, but Woolen's up.
Yeah, it depends if they re-sign him or not. Which doesn't sound like they like him too much.
I mean, he's a tough player to like, in my opinion. But, let me see. They just took Zabel in the first round. I don't think they should address it again in the first round. So I'm going to take Cisse. Easily the best corner on the board from what I've seen. So,
yeah, I think that makes sense.
But anyway, you want to go with the Seahawks. They're just a tough team to draft for because of how good they are. And, yeah.
Yeah, so this is our first round mock draft. How do I see the grade?
It doesn't give you grades.
Oh, and why did it say grading my draft?
Because I don't know. I don't know what the point of that is.
Okay, well, this is the draft. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. If you made it to the end of the video, probably means you liked it, so you should subscribe, like the video. We're really trying to grow this channel, so we really, really appreciate it. And have a good one, everybody.